So I've been in the space for a couple of years and made some decent money, met a lot of the people that you would want to meet when you first start out and learned like an absolute ton. And in that process, the biggest thing I've learned is that one of the most potent risks is pretty much just allowing your own beliefs, values, and behaviors to be too strongly molded by the people you look up to in the industry. So for example, like one of the biggest things you see is someone like Hormozi will say something like, yeah, morning routines suck, they're the worst. And then you, the person who's like a consumer, you look up to Hormozi, he's a great guy, great business success, etc. And you'll be like, look, I'm never gonna do a morning routine ever again. But the problem with that is that maybe you love your morning routine. Maybe the morning routine is one of the biggest things that provides joy for you, where it makes you feel good about your day, makes you more productive, and then you drop it for no reason other than the fact that you heard it from someone that you respect. And what that is it's kind of just a microcosm of the entire red pill space, except that it seems more acceptable because, it's Hormozi and not some, 45-year-old guy in Miami with a fake tan and, a bunch of chicks around him, and you actually respect them. And what I mean by that is you hear something from someone, they have something you want, so you take it as a fact, or you take it as, something that, you should absorb and you should allow to mold you. And then the problem with that is then you move through the world completely differently, and you have almost no basis for doing so, because this is someone else's beliefs, someone else's values, someone else's entire frame of the world that you kind of almost not like copy paste, but you definitely allow it to mold you. And sometimes this is not even a conscious thing. Sometimes it's just, you just start thinking stuff because you think it makes sense and it makes sense to you and you respect the person. But trust me when I say this is a tendency you have to remove over a long enough time period. That's not to say you don't want to listen to people ahead of you. That's not to say, you should go ahead and become arrogant and think that you know everything. And yeah, of course, like you want to, buy stuff from people ahead of you and avoid making mistakes and don't reject advice. But the key here and the whole point of this video is that when you're in the space, it's so easy to let your beliefs, values, and behaviors get molded by other people, and certainly things that are kind of incongruent with your own experience. Another good example of this is, people think that high-level founders, like people that run sick companies, are all super direct and harsh and they're rude to their employees, and you have to be really rah, like you have to do it this way, don't do it that way. And you probably think this because you heard someone say it once, but then you become a terrible manager and you never know why. When in reality, the small percentage of these dickhead founders are kind of just a vocal minority. There aren't that many of them, but the ones that exist are very, very prominent, which makes you think that there are more than there actually are. So you get this belief kind of installed into your brain that this is the case, and when you reach a certain level, you've got to become some sort of dickhead. But in reality, like I said, all of a sudden now you're just a shit manager, your team hates you, and then you've got to try and figure out how to scale in spite of that and kind of remove that belief. So what I want you to do as a result of this video is just I want it to trigger you to just reassess, like, what stuff have you been consuming? What stuff have I allowed to mold me that wasn't potentially a part of who I was actually meant to be? And really the only way to avoid this is to really focus on filtering your information diet and only getting advice from people whose values are in alignment with yours, which might sound like a basic thing, but for example, if you work with someone who is low integrity, their tendency to screw over clients and shit talk employees and, do whatever they do, that kind of just leaks over to you and infects you. And whether you're working with this person, whether they're on YouTube, whether you buy a course from them, whether you kind of just get exposed to them, it just leaks over to you, and it almost infects you in a way because you don't even realize what's happening, but you kind of just become the average of the people around you, and you become the average of the people whose content you consume. And especially if you respect that a lot, you're about 100 times more likely to end up mirroring their traits, or even subconsciously, using the same words as them. It's almost like, if you ever had an older brother, I remember I used to always, my older brother came home and he had like a new thing or a new slang that his friends were saying, I would always copy that slang, because it was just like, you just mirror the traits of the people you look up to. You mirror those traits accidentally. You're not even thinking about it. So like I said, the whole point of this video is to think about it. It happens without you even knowing it. But there is a way to avoid it. So what you want to do is write down the type of business owner you want to be. Like literally step one, write down the type of business owner that you want to be. Step 2, think of 2 to 3 people that embody the same values that you would love to have. Because sometimes you have values that you don't necessarily embody, and it's one of those things where you would love to be like that. You would love to have those values. Maybe it's integrity, honesty, when they, crush client results or something. And then the third step is to consume more of their stuff and less of the other stuff. The whole goal here is that you create some kind of filtration system rather than just letting all this random information go into your head for absolutely no reason. It is one of the worst things that you can ever do to just kind of allow a diarrhea thought stream to enter your brain when you're in that position where you're on the come up. Because if you don't take control of this, it kind of takes control of you, which sounds extreme, but it is fully legit. Like if you don't take an active stance on what you want your values to be, they will get implanted by all the stuff on social media, the people you work with, mentors, or whatever it may be, and people that you respect, and they're worthy of respect. It's not that they aren't. It's not that I'm saying Hormozi's terrible, but it is to say one of those things where you don't want to do that unconsciously, do you? You'd rather consciously say, this is the person that I want to be, this is the person that I would love to become, and then strive to become that person instead of just kind of taking on someone's advice with a sales funnel or taking someone's sales advice, and then because you respect them, accidentally take on some of their personality in other areas. You need to be really conscious about this, and you need to reject all the other stuff because it's so easy, trust me. Like I've been through this in the last couple of years being in the space, but one of the best things that I have done is returning back almost to the person that I was before I ever got into the space, where I was just kind of almost more normal. You'd be more willing to help people out. You'd be more, I don't want to say trustworthy, but you'd be more willing to trust. And you kind of have to almost take on all these traits when you're on the come up, where you're really, I'm going to be, super, bullish on just the way you go about your life. But then you almost want to let that go because you're like, hey, maybe you do want to be a little bit more laid back. Maybe you do want to get back to who you were without any of the influence of the entire industry. So that's less to say that you should, go ahead and take on those exact traits that I'm talking about, that I was thinking about, but it is to say that you want to be aware of how things on social media influence you even without you thinking about it. And I know when I put it that way, it might sound basic, but it's specifically targeted for people that are running online businesses, that are running agencies, they've had their success, and they kind of need to get back to basics and get back to who they actually are instead of going online and just saying, this is how someone making 100K a month acts, or this is how XYZ person acts. Like, oh yeah, you're meant to put Dubai in the background because it's going to work better. And that just kind of for shits and gigs. And I just do that for the video because it kind of probably does make you pay attention a little bit more. And you kind of have to play that game sometimes, but it's also a balance. So it's one of those things where you need to use your brain and you need to do these things actively instead of just allowing it to kind of get into your brain and kind of subconsciously occur. And it might sound a little bit hippy-dippy, but trust me, I know for a fact that if I post this video, some people are going to resonate with it and they're going to say, I know exactly what you mean. Thank you for posting that. And it will hit them right at the right time. Because even just based on the conversations I've been having at the moment with people in the space, it seems like it's one of those things where you really need to, it's time for the space to grow up a little bit and become a little bit more legit, become a little bit more trustworthy as an industry, become a little bit more high ethic, high integrity, look after clients. Because, how many people have bought a coaching program? How many people have bought consulting and just been completely fucking burned by whoever the consultant is? It's almost like a doomsday level where everyone who's been in the industry has been burned by these shitty companies. So it's like, if you don't want to be on that side, if you want to be on the side of people that actually get results for their clients and they actually do well and they operate from this place of really high trust versus just being one of the people that, they kind of just fuck around all day and buy Lambos. I don't know. Personally, that's not necessarily for me. I know that might sound rich being in Dubai, but if you want to just run legit companies and, be high ethic and be high integrity, you have to actually do that on purpose because not everyone is like that. So I hope this video was helpful. If it resonates, let me know and I'll make more videos like this, but I just thought it was relevant to say, I haven't posted a video in a while, so I thought I'd give you guys an update on what I was thinking. And yeah, let me know if you want more like this.